listening to the Ropes N Riffs podcast with your host, John Kiernan.
Ladies and gentlemen, a man who is infinitely cooler than I will ever be. A gentleman who shares the space. And I say shares, but is basically one of the gentlemen who runs the space with he and the boys in Downstait. Zack, ladies and gentlemen.
What's happening, everybody? Thank you for the kind intro. We have shared this space for a while now. We have been on a track together. It still kicks ass, and anytime I can put over major players, I will. I listen to that while I work out. It still fucking rocks. Let's fucking go.
Hell yeah, me too. And it's probably one of my favorite ones that I've done too. Also, one of the quickest, which is one of the craziest things too.
So it's funny you say that. One of the biggest things that we pride ourselves on when anybody comes to us is, yeah, we can get that done. We mean it. A lot of the time it's just either OCD or just being the most anal people in the world. Like, hey, we'll get this job done. We'll send it out. And we're hoping the first run on this is exactly what they were thinking. A lot of times we think that we know what they mean and what they want, and we like to get it done as quick as possible and get the yes and move forward.
I love that. And it's also for me on the other side. I've played in bands so many years in my life, and I still love to collaborate with people, but it's, doing this and doing it the way that I even do it, a lot of the times I like to be able to do exactly like you said. Cool, let's go, let's get it, and let's get it back out, right? Whenever I collaborate with somebody, for me, I'm always just like, oh, well, now there's this additional wrinkle where somebody lives. Do they have recording gear? Like, now you're working with somebody and you're trying to put all these things together. But yeah, going back and forth with you guys, it was just like, first off, thank you for having me on the track. Second, it was just like, oh, here's this riff. Oh, here's this riff. All right, cool. We'll get this recorded. Oh my God, it's done. What did we do?
So you led us to the water quite a bit on that one. Brian's song was killer, and it gave me a lot personally. Like, Matt is such a good fucking dude. Every time he wants something, he comes to us, and then we try to get it out, because busy as that dude is, he needs a turnaround on it. And Matt has been probably a bigger product in us being able to turn stuff around than anybody in the business. He gets us ready to go. But your Brian song really, that's funny that I said Brian song on this. Let's cry about football. That song was so killer. And then when that title came out, it's one of those where I'll pat myself on the back, but like mixing our two titles in really quick helped me finish that song very, very quickly. When the lights go down and lights, like the ride is over, it was too perfect, too easy, and it's wrestling, so you can be a little cheesy. But that song, again, I love that tune. It's a killer tune. I really want people to find it again. Whenever they get back together, it's going to be really cool to hear that song again.
But yeah, and I remember when you hit those lyrics, the ride is over. Like, I had no idea what you were going to do lyrically, but, it was like, all right, cool. Maybe we could take a riff from this song and like kind of piece, and there's all these different elements there. And you hit that ride is over, and the way the melody was, I was like, damn, that's legit.
It's still good. Like, sometimes I accidentally fall into some cool shit. That was definitely one of those times.
I'm always going to give you a hard time, though, and now I can give you a hard time officially here, because when you were on Chris's show, you were like, man, yeah, he was like, oh, what are some songs that you know where I'm going?
Yeah.
What are some songs that, like, fly under the radar a little bit? And you're like, oh, man, Buddy Murphy's is one that's real great. We just finished one up with John Krieger. And I'm like, I don't know where to go. Do I just change my name and run with that? Or do I just do my thing and just, hey, I don't know, John Kiernan Krieger, let's go.
No, apologies forever. I talked to Justin. I'm actually in his studio right now. And he just goes, Kiernan. Like, I fucking know, man. I fucked it up already. Never again. But I felt so bad. I'm like, God damn. And we did the thing where he's like, you got anything that you want to leave out? And we went for like an hour. And I got to be honest, I had a few libations during that thing, and I was like, nope, we're good. Print it.
Everything was perfect.
Yep.
We're good here. And I love how you bring up libations, because you're talking about the one and only, who everybody knows what you guys have done throughout the industry. You've worked with Ziggler, you've worked with him as Ryan Nemeth, you've worked with Miz, you've worked with everybody. But talking about libations, I think that's a perfect segue into talking about, obviously, Cody Rhodes, who I know you guys talk about all the time. You guys have done an awesome rendition as well, the original Kingdom. But just I want to say, just as somebody who's kind of come up behind you guys and has been an admirer of you before I started doing this, you guys keep crushing it. And you hear that song all the time. And just as friends, like, I'm always excited when I'm hearing that song out and just being able to hit Justin up and you guys and just be like, guys, congratulations. Like, this is at WrestleMania now. This is here. This is everywhere. Just like, you guys deserve all the credit in the world for that.
Well, thank you so much. Honestly, much appreciated for all that love. It's always got to go back to Cody or Matt or Mike or Nick. Those guys have kept us in the loop for forever. So, like, I will put Matt over. I've done it on every podcast. I'll put Matt over till the end of time. When Cody left, he put out a tweet and we asked Matt if he could get us in touch with him. We got in touch with him. We did the song, and he's used it every day since he left WWE in 2016. No, to see where it's gone, man. All the memes, all the TikToks. You know, we're on ESPN now. Again, we're riding this dude's coattails. It's a killer song, man. We dove in as fans and we followed him to the end. You know, it's not the end yet, but that line was big because of how big of fans. I always wanted to be a wrestler if I couldn't be a rock star, you know, and I'm not that either. I'm an administrator at a high school, but if you know, if sports didn't work out or the rock star thing didn't work out, it was like I always wanted to be a wrestler. So you study what you love. I studied music, I studied wrestling, I studied sports. We followed Cody every step of the way. We were very, very entertained, and we were very displeased with where he was going on his way out. We were kind of on our way out, and we're not having a lot of success. Matt gave us a lifeline with radio. Right there, when SmackDown Live happened, we got a run at radio with him, and it gave us a little bit of landed the Cody thing, and here we are now. And the opportunities, I will say, are not done yet. We're still getting some of the coolest shit in the world that I can't go into until everything is, all the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted. But there's more stuff coming with this tune, and it's really, really fun to be a part of it. Never thank all those guys enough.
And you see all the things that have gone on with it. Like, even now there's someone standing outside of WrestleMania. I forget which WrestleMania it was, but they were jamming it on saxophone. And
I love
are
that
walking
guy.
past.
Josh. Yeah. I probably butchered his name now. It's probably Jeff. But no, that dude on Twitter, man, he does a lot of covers, but he nailed Kingdom, man. And we put that over any chance that we get. That dude's a badass.
I love that. And also, with that song, you're talking about all these things that it's done, and you guys are always putting over people that are doing everything with your music. It's not like the song lives just in WWE or just with Cody. Like, you guys are always seeing what people are doing with it and just sharing that out. What does it mean for you to be able to, in all these different eras, be able to have your music that people are just like, man, this was part of my childhood, this is part of me as a grown-up, and I'm able to just see that music move to all these different places.
Yep, just going back to 8 or 9-year-old Zack. You know, if I wasn't in music, if I wasn't in sports, if I wasn't in wrestling, this song has gotten me back on the road as an artist, and it's gotten me in so many sports venues because the song is just bigger than wrestling. The guy that pitched in the World Series, Tommy Cowney, uses it for his walkout song for the Yankees coming out of the bullpen. So I'm getting played at fucking Yankee Stadium, everybody there, and they do the whoa and everything. My buddy, he's a groundskeeper at Wrigley Field, and he sent me videos, and I don't even think he knew about Kingdom, but he's just like, hey, this is my boy. I played Little League with the groundskeeper. He's got a brother that played in the league as well, but he just would send me pictures or videos of when he's working on Wrigley Field, he's playing I Came to Play. Just because it's like, this is insane how just I couldn't be a wrestler, I couldn't be a rock star, I couldn't whatever, and now all my stuff has been played at some of the most famous stadiums in the world. It's too cool, man. Not to mention, like, France. The France reaction to Kingdom is probably the coolest thing that's ever happened in my life. Honestly, I wasn't there, but that was the loudest anybody's ever been for that tune. It was too cool.
And you're seeing all these different places across the globe just going crazy for it too. And, Cody is all synced up for it. You guys are all synced up for it. Like everything is just, there's so much life left in it. And you think of themes throughout the years. You think of music that's followed wrestlers throughout the years. But this one continues to take on new life everywhere it goes. Now we're in this different era of wrestling altogether where you have all these different companies. You have WWE just rocking and rolling like they're doing. You have someone like this would have never been heard of in the past either, of somebody coming back to WWE and having this music that's traveled with them all over, from Ring of Honor to AEW to all these different places, and then all of a sudden comes back into WWE. It's like when you think of the modern tale of wrestling and you think of a wrestler going to all these places and coming back, I think sometimes you'll get fans thinking like, oh, there is this tribalism with even wrestlers, when we know it's not there. But you're starting to see these stories that can be told of a wrestler, just not throughout one company, but from company to company. And the music, that's why it's so special to see from my perspective too. That's part of their story, and it tells different parts of his story depending on where he is and what he's done. That's crazy too.
Yeah, for sure. I give props to the new ownership across the land, like put Triple H over on a podcast, but like to give the guys their names when they leave there, how big of a deal is that? Like you build your brand and then, you worked your whole life to get this career and get up to that company and become this product for them. And then, you're fired, you're released, or you walk away and you have that brand and they're like, you can't use it anymore. That's got to be the most terrifying thing in the world. I'm glad that they're letting them use their names and build off of what they already have. And I'm also glad that they're kind of are releasing some of this licensing stronghold that they had forever. I think Edge being the biggest star and getting Alter Bridge over there, it's Alter Bridge's song, so they could take it probably wherever, but I think that was licensed out to WWE for a very long time. And Cody, again, if Cody doesn't do well, then we're not involved and we're back home just being fans again. So props to him forever for becoming this megastar and doing everything he said he was going to do. But yeah, more props to just kind of where the world of wrestling is at and letting guys live on what the careers they're trying to do. That's the bigger thing, I think, here.
Yeah, I agree. And you mentioned something a little bit earlier that I kind of want to touch on briefly. You had mentioned that there was a point where you were doing a lot of themes. You were working with a lot of the different wrestlers. This was with Radio. This was with Dolph Ziggler at that point. This was with Miz. So it's not like you guys are just doing modern things. People know you for work that you even done 2009, 2010, things of that nature. There was a little bit of that period where I think they leaned really heavily on CFOs or things like that. And then all of a sudden, the name Downstait comes back into the arena of professional wrestling. There's that down period where you maybe had not been as active within the music point for wrestling at that point. Did you guys think in that time period, hey, we should continue to try and work with wrestlers at that point? Or were you just kind of like, hey, we're going to go to a different, like walk us through a little bit of how it was during that down period and then the comeback up, I know was, with Matt Cardona and Cody and all them.
Yeah, so I won't dive too much back into that, but we had put out an album. It did fine. We were on the road with it. Full disclosure, we were a little tired. We were on the road for about 4 or 5 years consecutive. My brother when we were finishing the album, he had found out that he was going to have his first child. And we're all brothers in this band. So like, if he's going to be miserable because he can't see his son, then nobody's going to force the issue. My brothers, between Sean and Justin with their writing ability in this band, not only they keep us afloat, but they pretty much were our sound from 2010 to 2013. So like, if nobody's going to push or pry for them to continue to do the road thing, for sure. So we never officially shut the doors on Downstait, but once we got off the road, Sean went back to law school. I actually joined the military, joined the Army, did a 3x5 there, and my brother became a father, a 2-time father. So it was a secondary thing. It was a hobby. After Jim left WWE, we stopped getting those calls. We were good buddies with the CFOs, but they burned quickly. And we never ended up getting to work with them. Matt happened, Cody happened. Britt happened, and then the ball started rolling again. Dustin happened. We started getting a buddy happen. It just was like 1 a year, 2 a year. And it's like, hey guys, we still are something. And Kingdom really was pushing, not so much financially, but it was pushing enough to say, hey guys, we still got it here. We can keep doing this and maybe put our focus here. Now, that's not to say we don't write stuff that isn't just for wrestlers. We do have an album coming out. We've put out a couple of one tune and a video called Sleep, but we know where our bread and butter is. We're really good being lifelong fans. We're really good at knowing what they're trying to portray, and they're really good at telling us, hey, this is kind of the song that I want to go to. This is what I like by you guys. This is what I like if I could have it, as far as that process goes. But since we went on this Jericho cruise, it's been more like our main job and not so much the secondary hobby. Last 2 years, it's not been so much the hobby. We've just kind of been busy with jobs. Jericho's cruise specifically, we've gotten a lot of job offers and a lot of people wanting to work with us, and we are trying to move as quickly as possible with all the jobs that we have going on right now. It's really, really cool. And honestly, the GCW event with Matt having us play out, that has gotten us into a different stratosphere again, where our numbers are spiking. People didn't know that we did his song, and now that song's increased by something like 45% of it's times are good right now for us. We're having a good couple months in 2025. Good start.
How do people not know that you did When the Lights Go Down? That's pretty crazy.
So he's done everything to promote the shit out of 2-time Indie Wrestler of the Year, back to back. Sometimes it takes the right platform, and that dude has built the right platform, and we're just stoked. Again, he's given us every job opportunity, including working, like, he got us connected with his wife, and she's the biggest sweetheart. She, behind the scenes, is one of the biggest plugs that we have. Or Chelsea is just the biggest sweetheart in the world. Matt does everything for us, including that dude puts anything he puts on his story has got When the Lights Go Down on it. That GCW event, he felt like a megastar, and we were so happy that we could be a part of that. There's a lot of really, really, I'll put over the photographer, Nick Karp. There's a cool shot of me singing his lyrics while he's hitting his pose on the stage. It's probably the coolest thing I've ever done visually. It's just so awesome, and we can't thank him enough for letting us be a part of that. GCW's fucking awesome too, man.
Yeah, anybody that hasn't gotten into GCW, it really is another one of these brands to keep looking out for. And I think people throw it under the radar sometimes because, you have TNA, you have WWE, you have all these different things, but AEW too, sorry. But GCW is a contender, man. You get some of the best wrestling on there. You get lots of different styles. And like you said, Matt Cardona's there. It's just, again, it's such a great brand to be on. And seeing you guys again, you have such an electric energy as a front man too. And you know that. I'm not telling you anything you don't know already. But just, I can't even remember what it was that you said before he came out. But you were giving the audience a hard time too. You're like, we're Downstait. Something. And then I can't even remember what it was, but I'm like, oh my God, he's playing it too. Here we go.
So I don't know how much we're allowed to give up, the kayfabe here, but Matt came up to us after rehearsal and he said, hey man, if you want to get some booze or whatever, feel free. I'm the bad guy. Said even F words. And he goes, yeah, whatever, you're a musician. I don't have to tell you, work them over. And I said, you got it. So funny enough, the night before, I'd never seen a Book of Mormon, and I'm a humongous South Park fan. So we're in New York. I'm going on Broadway. I went with Sean, and he didn't even have to really push or pull. I'm a big Lions fan, and I actually missed the first half of them losing to Washington because I needed to see Book of Mormon. So I go to see Book of Mormon, and I'm saying all this in my head about what I'm going to say to this GCW fans to get them to start booing me. And Sean just looks at me and he goes, you know what Trey Parker would do? He would get them up here. Hey, we're Downstait and we're here to deliver a message. And what would he do, Sean? And he goes, go fuck yourself. So I hit him with that. And dude, honestly, it was more of I'm a big Norm Macdonald fan, and he would get purposeful, stale like bomb energy, and it was closer to that than like I got a few, but it was more like, what the fuck did he just say?
Norm Macdonald's the man. I can't even. He had one of these jokes, which was just like they rated this somewhere between shit and fucking shit. So good.
So I guess just to go completely off topic, I guess when he would bomb early in his career, he would go stand at the door and shake everybody's hands and introduce himself on their way out just to make it even more awkward.
Oh my God. And, you know, it was such a fun thing to see, too, because, like, there's a lot of people who have played people out to the ring, and they're off to the side or in the background, you know. But, like, you see Motionless in White playing Rhea Ripley out, and they're getting invested with the crowd. They're doing all that. And then you see you guys doing the same thing. It's like, I think what's happening in wrestling now is you're getting more interactivity throughout the set of wrestling. You know, the musicians are now interacting, the wrestlers are interacting with all of the people on the side of the stage, they're interacting with the crew. It's like before it used to just be about what's going on in the ring, what's going on in the ramp. It was very myopic. Now it's like you can use anything and do anything you want to within what's on the camera and what's in the arena. And that's such a dynamic shift. And with someone like you who's so good with commanding the audience and controlling the audience, it's like, there he is. There's Zack doing his thing. And then you put you on the... Oh, go ahead, yeah.
So give Derek a shout out here. Whoever was on in like their truck or their production head gave Derek the okay for me to go. But they had a vignette going. So if you listen and watch that set again on the live feed, you hear me yell, Hammerstein, or whatever. Like, I yell it because I got what I did on our countdown here. I got and go. Got him up. And then they put me on for a second. And then they go to Matt's, like, intro feed. I'm just sitting there like a dumbass. I'm just smiling. Like, whatever, it's live. Let's go with it. And then, you know, we get into it or whatever. It is funny you say, like, everything's interactive. So Allie Catch, we're very happy she ended up getting all of her GoFundMe filled, but she had a terrible injury in like a mid-main.
Yeah, I remember
she was the
that,
number one contender. I don't know who was supposed to win or whatever, but there was a little bit of can we use your drum set in the main event? Like somebody wanted to go through it. We're like, yeah, fuck it, we'll leave it set up for you. And then that I guess was scrapped, or they just didn't get there to their improv or move there enough in their match. But if you look at that main event, everything's struck. I think even the cymbals are struck on the drum set, but we left, you know, snare, hi-hat, kick up there for them to be thrown through. They didn't end up doing it at the end, but we were going to be performance art for sure.
Oh my God. That's such a cool story too. If that had come to fruition at that point, forget it. And again, big props to GCW for doing some cool stuff like that too, and being like, hey, you know what? Let's really just break out of the box. Let's do some more. And talking about that, you guys just released, as of this recording, Indi Hartwell's new theme, which is, and I'm going to say this the way I've said it to everybody that I've worked with and who I know that you've worked with. I've always positioned myself as a composer, being like, okay, like thinking more of like, I can do a lot of different styles, but like really kind of weird shit too. You know what I mean? And I was saying this to Justin a while ago. I go, dude, you can come up with something like Indi Hartwell's theme wasn't out at that point, so I didn't tie it there. But I was like, you guys can write all of this different music for people. It could sound so different. But whereas I'm kind of like, I mask a lot of who I am and what I would do. I'm like, all right, cool. It's really stylistic. I'm like, no matter what you guys do, even when you're doing like an Indi Hartwell theme, it sounds like Downstait. And it's so cool. Like I was listening to it at the gym this morning, and I was listening to it like 2 or 3 times. Because like the first time I heard it, I was like, okay, this is great. Then you're at the gym, you're kind of in your zone, and you're listening to it, and you're like, this has a lot of Biscuit in it. Wait, these are some really cool lyrics. Damn, and it just has layers, man. It's so good. Walk us through a little bit on like how you guys were jamming on Indi Hartwell's theme, how that came up, and what was the ask even from that? I almost feel like she was like, I want something Limp Bizkit style.
So yeah, she's a student of the game, a big time. You could tell she came up, either started her fandom during Attitude Era, or like that's just her bread and butter. She's one of the coolest chicks, period. She's put us over everything that we've done so far. So how that started again, but over Chelsea. Chelsea's our plug, just reached out. Specific there was a group of releases about 6 months ago, and Tom and Indi were a part of it. And I think, and I'm sure we'll get into Tom a little bit, but we are such big fans of both. Like, we were watching NXT because of Indi's run, her Dexter stuff. I thought that was some of the most entertaining television on the planet. And top of that, she can fucking wrestle. Like, she's really, really good. And then Tom, I think, is like if I'm a diehard wrestling fan, I think Sheamus and Baron Corbin are two of the most underrated superstars that have ever graced this planet. So I asked Chelsea if she could, hey, I don't have these people's numbers, but I have yours. Do you mind the plug? She said, no problem. She hooked us up. Sammy she knows who we are through all of our stuff that we've had on, WWE or AEW. And she liked what we did for Buddy. I think he only used it in New Japan, but he had kind of the same directive, which was, I really like Limp Bizkit. Can you do it? I'll put that song over forever. And we threw a little bit of Stereo Mud thing in the second verse of that. It's one of the heaviest things we've ever written. I think that song's badass. It's called Secret No More. But with Indi, she asked something similar, and that was a song that she picked out. So my brother dove in with all the music, and then I said, well, that's the style that she wants is actually Sean's, but I'll write it. And then Sean, when he gets to do any of his rap, he just dives in and just gets goofy, and like, he loves playing that character. So I got him on it. I wrote it is the melody, but Sean gasses it up and makes all my stuff sexier. So he did that. She gave us some punch words and what she wanted to do. And the Hart Won't Quit, the Hard to Lose When Hart Won't Quit, is very similar to our song, to Major Players, where it was kind of the first thing I wrote. And I was like, damn, that's pretty fucking good. I hope she likes it. And then she's putting it on a lot of her stuff now. It's the title of the song. But she liked it. She was getting a lot of her friends in the business were putting the song over for her when she was testing it out. And like I said, she's done so much already to put the song over. The song's doing well for us on all of our streaming, and we can't wait. I don't think she's used it yet. I don't think she's performed with it yet. So we're very excited to see it when she comes out with it and see where she takes this song. She's still, in our mind, she's going to be a megastar. So we're very excited to be a part of her run.
You talked about Sheamus and you talked about Tom. I got to throw Indi in there too, because any of the work that you see from her in the ring is top notch. And she's somebody who, has such a strong wrestling background, and then can do the stuff with Dexter Lumis, and then can go on her YouTube and be just charming as hell, and then can do all these different things. And like, you hear a song like that, and it's funny, for me, I'd have never picked that out for something that Indi would have. But you know what? You're going to see her rock out to that on TV and anywhere else that she goes. Like, she's going to make that song just like you guys made it for her. And it's just going to be such an awesome thing seeing her rip to it live. And it just kind of, I think, speaks to a lot of who Indi Hartwell is. First off, the lyrics are great. Hart Won't Quit. The thing is, too, with that, when I first heard it, I was like, the way the melody kind of sits against, like, it's a little bit off, like, da-da-da-da, the heart won't quit. I was like, all right, cool. I'm like, wait, I messed up. And then I went back and listened. I'm like, that's hot. That's so hot. And I love how when like lyrics sit like that, it's like such a strong point in it. And Hart Won't Quit is perfect. Like, had that not been in there, it wouldn't have been Indi's song. It's perfect.
I appreciate that. I can't remember what Biscuit song I had in my head for that, but there's definitely a Fred Durst offbeat thing that he does live, and I can remember him doing his like gas up thing that he does. I think it's something from Woodstock where he's just on the and or whatever, and I was like, well, that I'm gonna do that, man, because I think it goes nuts when it does counter, and it sticks out a little bit more. It gets me going. I'm super proud that came out kind of first. It's pretty fun.
That'll be a song, too, that no matter where she goes, and let's say she does go back to WWE at one point, that's going to be another song, honestly, that's going to be very like Cody's, where that follows her. I say this with a lot of wrestlers, is your song can evolve over time. When I've worked on Mercedes Martinez's theme, we have a little melodic motif that goes through all of them. That's become like the Mercedes kind of vibe, even if she's teaming with like Diamante, or she's doing something for Impact or AEW. And so the theme, I think, will always follow that little thematic material. But I think as a piece of music, as just a song in general, Hart Won't Quit is going to be one that sticks with Indi throughout the rest of her career. It's perfect for the name, it's perfect for the gimmick, and just who she is and what you guys did. That to me, without like blowing smoke up anything or anything, it's just that really embodies who she is, and you guys just crushed it.
I
So,
appreciate that. Seems like
yeah.
she's got a fire to her as well. Um, Again, we ride the coattails of these performers. We're happy to be a part of it. Um, yeah, we certainly hope so. And the best part, again, when we found out that she wasn't going to be Sammy, she was going to be Indi, that was cool. But Hart Won't Quit doesn't need Indi Hartwell. So that was the other thing, was like, man, I'm going to write that. I don't know what name she's going to go by. So that was the other kind of like, let's give a little homage to what she was before. And then we found out she's going to keep using her name. So it's, dude, again, happy accident.
I love that. And then you're talking about Tom also, former Baron Corbin, now Bishop Dyer, I think is what his name is.
I don't think he's started going by it yet, but I believe that's the plan. Bishop's higher than a Baron. So that's the plan. He's leveling up.
Yeah, and I love that. First off, going back to talking about underrated, absolutely. He's one of those guys that in those last couple of months, people were like, you know what? Baron Corbin doesn't suck. Your boy here throughout time has been like, Baron doesn't suck. First off, start him off in NXT with the long hair and the whole lone wolf thing, and the fact that he's got that whole rock metal vibe. Your boy's known he hasn't sucked for years. I'm glad y'all are not you guys, but I'm glad the rest of y'all out there are catching up to this fact. That he goes and does all of the bum-ass Corbin stuff, and he's still great. And he's got you booing him. He's got you saying he sucks. And he does it because he's that good. And then he goes back down to NXT, and then he's like, oh, I'm just going to show people that I can do all of this stuff. And now y'all are like, is great. And then he leaves WWE, and now y'all are like, is great. So I'm really glad that he has all this stuff going. And just hearing the bit from GCW, again, it sounds like it's going to be an awesome tune, too.
Dude, it's one of the ones where we knew what direction he wanted to go into because of what we're fans of. Big, whatever kind of rock you want to call it, that new metal, early 2000s, late 90s to like mid 2000s. Big Seven Dust fan. I love them to death. It's kind of what I but what I was inspired by and what I tried to be mostly on stage with our show presence, which I'm glad you put that over before. They are the coolest band we'd ever seen in middle school and high school. And then just LJ, man, I love just the passion and the soul that he put onto every record. So that's kind of what I tried to do on everything. So we really, knowing that he was a fan of that, and when we had our early negotiations on the song, we sought out to put out a really, really awesome Seven Dust tune, which is kind of 80%, 75% of what Downstait is anyways. If you really dive into us, we're very inspired by Linkin Park, Breaking Benjamin, Seven Dust. That's our bread and butter, with a little bit of hair metal thrown somewhere in the back. But yeah, he's super cool dude. We put out this song and we said, man, if he doesn't like it, we like it, and this is going to be an album song. That's not putting down anything else, but a lot of these songs are job specific and don't know that it'll fit the mold of the story we're trying to tell with our albums. This one had a little bit of a vibe where it would meld a little bit with what we're putting out. Super easy to write for. We had a little bit more back and forth with him because he's got a very good vision of where he wants to go. So it's very fun to work with this dude. Sean and I 50-50 these lyrics and melodies, and that's usually when we get the best of the band, honestly. Again, not to say that anything else is bad, but when we're all sitting down and we're all cooking, somebody's challenging somebody to make everything better, and it's pretty good. So I can't wait. This one's called Live for Revenge. There might be a surprise coming on it, and that's why it's not out yet. Tom is using it as is whenever he's wrestling now, but the release is being stunted a little bit because there might be a big surprise coming on it, and that's pretty much the end of that combo as far as what I'm allowed to talk about with that.
First rule of Downstait is you don't talk about the surprises. The second rule is you don't talk about the surprises. That's so cool. And, he's somebody that you've seen other interviews he's done, and you just see how he knows who he is, but he's humble. I've emailed him about being on the show. Hopefully he ends up being on the show coming up at some point. And even just in email correspondence, one of the nicest dudes in the world. He's like, hey, man, I'm hanging out with my kids, all that kind of stuff. Like, Dude, super cool stuff. And just, you always want to see people in this industry and just people in general just really do well and just be good people. And you could tell that that's what he's all about. And he does have a vision for his character. He knows where he wants to go. And you could even see that with the previous work he's done. You could even see that going into GCW. And wherever he ends up, that song's going to be just a banger. And just what you heard in GCW sounded pretty heavy. Sounded really cool.
It's, dude, it goes, man. It's going to highlight the best part of me, the best part of Sean, the best part of Justin. And it's just our alley, man. It's such a kick-ass song where, again, like you said, his early NXT stuff, we're like, dude, we should maybe keep an eye on this guy. Just for the entrance alone before we saw him go, we're like, this is probably going to be a guy. And I do give props to Justin. Justin saw it before any of us with him specifically. And then I remember, I want to say he had a match with American Alpha. Him and Rhino had a match with American Alpha in NXT way back in the day. It was one of the, like, there was a spot in the corner that he did that I'd never seen before in a tag team match. And I think it led into the finish. And I go, whoever wrote that or whoever was a part of that is just a genius, because it was so out of left field when it happened to the finish. I was like, that's brilliant. That's what you want. You don't want everybody to anticipate everything that you do. And everything he does is so impactful. And he's a giant dude. Meeting him, I was like, holy shit. I'm a pretty big dude. Like, this dude towered over me, and his hands were gigantic. But again, like you said, he's the nicest dude in the world. Very, very easy to work with. Knows what he wants. And I'll put over that he's a former athlete. So, like,
But yeah,
those movements might not be easy for him being a giant, but he makes everything look as smooth as possible. He's a killer, man. It's awesome.
I remember seeing him when he first started and just going all the way into different aspects of his career. And 3 moves always got me. Obviously, the End of Days, because that thing is just dope. Who does that? The Deep Six, it's like, it comes out of anywhere. And for me, whenever I watch wrestling, I'm always very excited when I see a move come out of, like, no setup. You know, which is always like Triple H when he would send people off the corner or whatever, and he'd do the drop knee. It was like, oh, okay, cool. It's like a cutoff. It's awesome. But it came out of nowhere. And then he slides under the rope and then comes back on the other side. And it just, again, you don't see him set up for it. He's just like, I'm out of the ring now, and then I'm back in the ring. It's like one of the coolest things in the world. And like, it's little things like that it's like, it's athletic, but it shows that he gets it too. It shows that it's not like everything needs to be set up. There's not like a
So sorry, I was all the way listening, but my nephew is definitely playing piano in the next room. So I just had to text my brother and say, hey, maybe, can you hear that?
Oh, no, I
Okay,
can't.
cool. Right on.
But here's the question. If your nephew plays a Downstate song, it could be any of them, what song would he play?
Ooh, probably whatever one he's listened to his dad play in the studio for forever. Both my nephews are musically inclined. I think the younger one has perfect pitch already,
Nice.
but the older one is on drums and piano already. They're both, it's cool to see that they took more after. Like, I've got some of it with having Justin in my blood, but I'm more of an entertainer. Luckily, I can write a hook every once in a while, but like, they all have the same brain where how they attack music and stuff. And it's cool to see that they're already, 1, taking a liking to it, but 2, they're good at it early.
I love that. I'm seeing that with my daughter right now. She's 2. She loves music, and she does like the kids programs. My son, he's been down here in the studio when I've worked on themes, and he's like, "Oh, it sounds good." I'm like, "What do you want to do?" He goes, "Go play soccer." I'm like, "All right." I'm like, "That's cool, man." But you know what? When I put him in front of like an instrument, he's not guitar, he's not piano, but he's drums. And like he has a little drum set in his room, and he dabbles on it every now and again. But like, you could totally tell that this kid is built for sports. He's built for taekwondo. And I'm like, you know what, man? For me, I did taekwondo for about 10 years, and I'd love to get back into it. But I found my passion with music, and I'm like, I don't ever, if my son gets into music, cool. But if he finds the things that he loves and that's what drives him, I'm like, dude, that's more than I could ever ask for,
It's super funny you said that, because I try to tell, I was pushed the wrong way by a baseball coach back in high school. we had a battle of the bands. We won this battle of bands. I was a sophomore or a junior in high school, and I had to leave a doubleheader early. So not only did I played one, but I played a lot of the second game. We were terrible, mind you. I was really good. We were terrible. But I had to leave early, and we had just so happened to already be down 10. He brought my baseball coach brought me in at the time and said, "Do you want to be a Major League Baseball player? Or do you want to be in Metallica?" And even 15-year-old, 16-year-old Zach was like, "Why can't I try to be both?"
Yeah.
Like, how am I smarter than you at this situation? So like, there's still a little bit of that goes on at the high school I work at, where some of my athletes are like, I kind of want to go do that play. Go do it, dude.
Yeah.
You're going to regret it forever if you don't go do this musical or this play, man. It's one of the coolest, hardest things that you'll ever do in your life. And who knows, you might be good at it. And then my favorite thing to ask, even like these big, jockey dudes, is like, "Hey man, who's your favorite actor?" Like anybody that has this kind of, notion to them is like, "Who's your favorite actor?" A lot of them, Brad Pitt. And I go, "Theater guy." So what are we talking about, guys? So like,
Yeah.
no, like with the kids, with your kid, with the nephews, whatever they want to get behind. One wanted to get into sports for a while, and then they really hated it. And I'm not going to be that uncle that's like, "You got to do this because I did it." No, absolutely. If you don't like it, you don't like it, man. Do I want to push and make him competitive at stuff? Sure, but he can be competitive at piano and beat everybody at that, and I'll be behind him as the biggest cheering uncle that ever happened.
Exactly. And again, there's so much that kids can do now. So many different ways it can go. And like, I think there is more understanding too with that, where, I'm super glad to hear that you're like that supportive person where you're like, "You know what? Go do the thing. Let's go ahead and rock and roll with it. Do what you feel you want to do." And, I think that there are a lot more people doing that now because there are so many more things. So many things are accessible now. You can have a guitar in your house. You can go do these things. There's so many opportunities for people in a lot of places. And you know what? Why not? You got one life, man. Just go do it. Hell yeah.
Hello.
So, who is on your radar now? And I'm going to ask this question because you probably got folders full of "can't talk about this, bruh." But like, who is on your radar of just wrestlers to be looking at across the industry right now? And you don't have to say anyone that you're working with if you're under lock and key, but like, who are people that you would say people got to be keeping an eye on them because they're going to crush it?
So I will say one that we're working with right now, just because she has followed us for a long time and we've kind of kept an eye on her, and we're excited. We got to meet her in New York. She was on the opening match in the Battle Royal. Brooke Havoc,
Oh, nice.
she's a stud. Like, seeing her work and seeing her interact with the crowd, it was really, really cool to put, a face to the name and then not see a lot of her work. She's young. She's going to be awesome. I don't know how it interacted, if it was through my brother or through her asking, but we can't wait to work with her. We think she's going to be a big deal. We have something for her. We're finishing something up for her soon, and we're hoping that she loves it. But yeah, we're very excited about her. Anybody in this NXT TNA merger, I think it's one of the coolest things on the planet to watch as far as wrestling goes. Like, how can you not be everything you ever wanted between the Monday Night Wars? It's kind of happening there with like every Forbidden Door that AEW's ever done. That's always really, really cool. Any week on Tuesdays right now, NXT and TNA, for who's going to show up. And not to mention, if they were separated, both of those products are on fire right now.
Right.
So it's really cool to see them merge and just everybody kick ass there. It just sucks when guys already have their stuff put together. Like Moose, his song, I think his old one was a little bit better, but Moose has got a killer entrance theme. My trainer down at OVW is one of the Outrunners, Randy.
Nice.
But their song kicks ass, man. I can't like, hey, let us make it worse real quick. Like, if it's already gold, what are we doing? And then I want to say when we were kind of getting back into it big time, we were watching Lucha Underground and I fell in love with Prince Puma. So if we were ever to work with Ricochet, that would be incredible, man. That's kind of been one of those guys that we followed the whole time. I love seeing what he's doing with his character right now. I would love to do something for that guy in the future. That would be killer. That guy, God, he could be a lifer like Ray with his work ability, man. He works with everybody. We actually saw him on the Jericho cruise, working heel, and he was great at it. It was really, really fun to watch.
Yeah, he's been taking that heel persona really, really nicely now too. And I mean, you could take a look and see what's going on AEW right now. He's doing some of the best work in his career, and I think he kind of got the idea of, okay, cool. Like I before was always super unique because I could do all these flips, and now I've inspired a generation of people. Now I got to change myself again too. And I think he's really kind of gotten into that spirit. I think a lot of us, including myself, were like, "What are we doing, guy? Like, let's do this, do the stuff, do the flip, do it over the ropes, do it."
That
And
can't feel
now,
good every week.
yeah, 100%. And now he's found this character where he knows what he's doing, he knows who he is, and he knows that he knows what he's doing, which I love too. And I love that you called out Ricochet, but you called out the Prince Puma side of it a little bit too. One part for me, and by the way, someone's got to bring Lucha Underground back on the air, ladies and gentlemen. Someone buy it, someone throw it up there. You could do it. Dario Cueto's in MLW. Let's get the roll on it, guys. And it wasn't Wrestle Votes, it was Wessel Votes. You bastard. I'm on to you. That said that WWE bought it. So, we're gonna be a little salty there for a sec. But someone I still will always want to work with is Masha Slamovich. She's always going to be one of my favorites. Not because I've written for her already, but she's always somebody that when she's in the ring, she's always like the most believable for me. And she's used different themes over time. When she went to Impact, that song that you hear was one that we had worked on together. Then she started with Dance with the Dead, a song. But I'll always be like, man, that's someone to keep your eye on. Always. I can't agree more with what you said about this TNA NXT business that's going on now too. Moose is somebody who I've wanted to work with for years because he gets it. He knows what's up. He knows what happens. And he's somebody that with the right theme, which he's had before, but with an even more like advanced theme or like the next level kind of theme, he's someone that would just explode onto the scene. I think with Obafemi, you see him, and they just had the scuffle over on NXT recently, and you see him. He's another guy that's just going to be crushing this industry one way or another. Obafemi is going to be like WrestleMania next year. Like that's where he is now, and it's absurd. There's so many people on the scene now. I love that you brought up Brooke Havoc, man. I've never met her, but I've always been an admirer of hers, and I'm just like, man, keep doing it.
So funny, Justin's like, hey, that's Brooke. And I was like, because I believe she's she's a Nightmare Factory gal.
Yep. Yeah.
I was like, she follows us. He's like, yeah, there she is. And she's in like, when she's not performing, she was just in like really, really baggy clothes. And I'm like, that's not her. I was very much confused, and we had to rehearse. So I was like, we'll see when I talk to her. Like I'm a little I get still a little starstruck around anybody because I still think of them as superheroes a little bit. So I couldn't go up and talk to her. And then she came over and asked for a picture. So we were able to introduce, and like she opened. So it was really, really cool. That dude, she got thrown like 20 feet in the Battle Royal in the opening match. That's how she got eliminated. It was really, really cool. Just the balls on her to go flying like that. It was killer, man. We're super excited to see where she goes. She's a baby. Same with Obafemi. I mean, dude, they're not old. They are children out here, so they've got a lot of future to look forward to right now.
Yeah, and I'll put one more person over just because she's always on my mind, and I'm like, man, we need to go ahead and get her more on TV. Athena, man, I would want to put something bomb together for Athena. I think that what she has now is great, but I'm just like, you got to get her on TV, man. And she's been killing it in Ring of Honor. She killed it when she was in NXT as Ember Moon, but I remember seeing her being played to the ring with Hailstorm and being just like, man, rocket strap her to the moon. Like, for me, I'd love to see what she's doing on Ring of Honor right now. on an even bigger stage, wherever that would be. Bring her up to AEW TV, that's fine. But like, I've always thought, man, she could just have a theme that would just be crushing, man. And she's so deserving of it. She's somebody that can play a really brutal character. And she's somebody that you could tell just has the charisma to both piss off the audience and when she wants to, get the audience behind her. She could be your biggest babyface or she could be your biggest heel. And her theme would be something that's not representative of either. It would be representative of Athena.
She's just, like you said, the best way to talk about her, and there's a lot of them, but she's just a pro's pro. You could put her, nobody would bat an eye if you put her in the main event of AEW, next Wednesday. And at the same time, if she has to open the card of Ring of Honor to get somebody going, she's probably going to do it. She's a pro, man. She's been fun to watch for sure.
Absolutely. One more question before I let you go this evening, my friend, and I ask everybody who's on the show, if you had to choose 3 songs that would represent you to put on a Spotify playlist, what would they be and why?
Ooh, like of all time?
Yeah.
My favorite song, I think it was just produced perfectly. It's sonically, it gets me so happy. It's Return of the Mac by Mark Morrison. At any given time, I think you can throw that song on and just get me in the best mood. I think in another way, 1975's The Sound did a lot. I think that whole album was incredible, but The Sound specifically did something for me where it's just that song's hitting my ears perfectly. And then I was a huge fan of the album Home from Seven Dust and also that track, but I think it's been surpassed by like Black or anything off of Seasons. Like Disgrace is such a good song. So it'd have to be one of those from, I know I'm a rock guy, but we come from such a different background. It'd have to be something like that. Any of those Seven Dust tunes. I feel bad because I'm leaving out, some really good, like, Dreams from Van Halen.
It's a great
That's
one,
another
too.
one. I can't, like, when that comes on, right now from Van Halen, it's the best of both worlds where you got Sammy or David, and I think they are 2 completely different bands, and I think they're 2 of the top 5 bands that ever existed on the planet. So I know I gave you way too many there, but any of those, you can pick any of those 3 from, I guess, like the 8 or 9 I just gave you, and I'd be okay for the rest of my life.
And little known fact from the Downstait camp, when you walk into the rehearsal room, everyone plays Return of the Mac. And by everybody, I mean, you've got it already on a speaker there. You're just like, they're like, fuck, here he comes. You're like, what's up, guys?
We've come out to, on stage, we've come out to that. We've come out to Onyx Slam. And we've come out to 9.95, which is a Ninja Turtles track. And we like to have a little bit of fun before we try to, kick everybody's teeth in on stage. So it's really, really fun.
Zach, it's been awesome this evening. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I say evening because that's when we're recording. But y'all, you can enjoy it in the morning, afternoon, evening, weekends, holidays. I'm not going to judge. You shouldn't judge either. Zach is awesome, and he's been hanging out with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me on. Guys, stay tuned for anything we got coming out. And please have me back on again. Justin said the same thing. Please reach out. We'll do this anytime.
Absolutely.